Hello, 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 Love Revolution beloveds. Y'all, I have an amazing guest with me today. And she and I have so much synergy. We met through our mutual friend, Noemi. And listen, if y'all want to be podcast guests, reach out to Noemi. She is absolutely amazing. And she's so love-centered in her own
Mhm,
business.
mhm.
And she recommended Deb, and I am just excited to jump in. Now, Noemi does not even live in the US. And so when Deb gets on the screen, she goes, I'm in Atlanta too. So, it's that whole idea of we're all
Mhm,
interconnected.
mhm,
We're
mhm,
all, we're all 8 billion people loving 8 billion people. And
mhm,
so
mhm.
I'm delighted. So, with that, Deb, introduce yourself and tell us about really, you have several different initiatives and things to chat about. So,
I do.
just
I
an overview
do.
of all of them.
Yeah. Well, I'll try and be brief. That's really hard for me, but and maybe I've had enough caffeine to work, right? Um, so first of all, I love the idea of your program because this world needs as much love as we can
Yes.
get.
Yes.
In a variety of ways. So that was why I was very excited when Noemi said that you and I should chat. So I'm a marketing and PR person. I started my own firm, Wise Women Communications, over 20 years ago. Someday I need to look. It's like 25-ish, I don't know, somewhere around there. And it's a full-scale marketing firm. It is virtual. We were virtual before virtual was a thing.
Yes.
And love doing that. And there's several other really fun things that I do, but the thing that I got forced into, shall we say,
Mhm.
10 years ago this month. So I've hit the magic 10-year mark.
Oh,
I was diagnosed with cancer, with breast cancer.
wow.
Initially, stage 0, which was, don't worry about it. And then over the course of several months, the diagnosis became stage 4, which is not good, but that's why it's really fun that we've made it 10 years, right? And so my official diagnosis is stage 4, triple positive metastatic breast cancer, which sounds horrible.
Yes.
And yeah, but clearly I've let it stop me. And along the way, I've developed 2 other cancers. One was basal cell, which is, it always, basal cell carcinoma always sounds horrible, right?
Mm.
It's your garden variety skin cancer. I got it because I am a redheaded, freckly kid from Colorado that never knew what sunscreen was and still doesn't.
Yeah.
Um, and then 2 years ago, I developed thyroid cancer, and it is a totally new cancer. So I've had 3 separate cancers, but along the way, my journey has been extremely bumpy and rough. I am special, if you couldn't tell already. And I developed multiple complications, some of which
Uh,
my doctors had never seen people survive from. And my husband was told 3 times that I would not survive. And I remember thinking, excuse me, I get to vote on this. Um, and but 30 ish surgeries, between 30 and 35, I've kind of lost track, because I did go into septic shock, which is that is the biggie. Most people do not survive septic shock. Fortunately, I'm 5 minutes from one of our very wonderful WellStar hospitals,
yeah.
and so that was why I'm here to talk to you today. But my business coach kept nudging and pushing and nudging and pushing. And she said, you didn't go through all of this without using it to help others.
Mm.
And I said, but I don't want to be cancer girl. But she was right. And so I started a couple of things. First is trying not to die.live. And it's for anyone who is on a cancer journey, whether they have cancer themselves or they know someone,
Mhm.
relative, coworker, whatever. And then we recently launched a coaching business for to be a strategic advisor to executives who are dealing with that. You're
Wow.
a business owner and you're told, hey, you have cancer. And you're like, no, excuse me, I have all these other things to do.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. But along the way, and very early on in my diagnosis, I learned that the absolute most important thing was my community, right?
Oh, yeah.
And now I call them my tribe because I say that I'm a warrior. And I
Mm.
know some people aren't always comfortable with that term, but I am in the fight for my life. But warriors never ever stand alone, right?
That's right.
If they
That's
are
right.
successful, they have their tribe, they have their community. And I remember one time I was going in for surgery, and it was, not one of the really bads, but and I remember thinking, well, I can't die. All those people would be upset. And so that's, just kind of where we've gone with this.
Wow. 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 There are a million points that I want to. First of all, I just need to give you a pom pom.
Yay!
I find you, Deb, so fascinating and so amazing and so obviously uplifting, pun intended, and also just truly a truly a joy and a delight, because we all have choices.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many, 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 many. Well, there are many, many, many. There are probably millions of people that can't survive 35 surgeries.
Yeah.
Those that do
Mm-hmm.
survive them, they have a whole gamut of options to react.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody needs to be where they need to be. That's the
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing.
Right. Yes.
Love.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
here at Love Revolution, it's letting others voluntarily evolve and letting ourselves
Right.
voluntarily
Yes.
evolve. So
Yes.
everybody gets to react to 35
Mm-hmm.
surgeries like you have,
Right.
three different kinds of cancer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, you have chosen such a love-centered
Mm-hmm.
approach. Now, I am curious of the million things. And one of the things I want to ask you is my website is drroz.love. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are like, oh, that's so unique. That's so amazing. And it just, it helps
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
and I love that yours is .live.
Mm-hmm.
So can you
Right.
talk a little bit about the .live?
Sure. Well, like I said, I'm a marketing person. So I was obviously going to be tryingnottodie.com. That's what we're taught. And somebody owned it. How rude, right? And I actually offered to buy it. It was a student outside the country who owned it. I offered what was going to be a fairly large amount of money. Nope, she had no part of that. So my marketing team and I chatted, and when you go to GoDaddy or the various things, you put in there what you want, and then if it's not available, it suggests others,
Uh-huh.
and it suggested Live, and it
Um,
was like, duh, right? And so the concept is that we get so caught up when we're ill, or maybe just in life, right, trying to not die, that we forget that the most important thing is how are we going to live.
beautiful, 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 beautiful. Again, going back to the love-centeredness,
Mm-hmm.
um, it is evident that you wake up every day and y'all, I just have met this lady. It's not
We
like we've
did
been besties for
like a
3 years.
minute before we started recording.
Right. But you can just tell. I mean, you can just tell she wakes up every day and decides, okay, how am I going to be
Mm-hmm.
loving today?
Mm-hmm.
And so with your marketing firm and with your website, you're
Mm-hmm.
trying not to die.live, but also specifically zoning in on executives.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about how you love on that population specifically?
Well, I think, one of the biggest things that I tell people is exactly what we have been saying. This is your journey. You're in charge. And, not the white coats, not your spouse, not your business. I mean, whatever it is, you are in charge, and you need to make the decisions that work best for you. I chose the very traditional approach to dealing with my cancer. Now, I worked for the American Cancer Society, and I worked for an oncologist in the past. So I knew just enough to be dangerous, right?
Wow.
Those words popped out on my chart, and I went, oh, that's how I found out my cancer had spread. My chart said metastatic, and I went, oh, that's not good. And so, but I chose uh chemo, surgery, radiation.
Uh-huh.
But for many people, that's not what they believe in their heart and
Yeah.
their soul and their brain
Yeah.
will help them.
Yeah.
And you have to decide that on your own. And so this is about how can we do that. But for business people, in many cases, it's some of the simple basic things like, do you have a business continuity plan?
Yeah.
Do you know how to delegate and empower your employees? Right.
Right.
And hello, raising my hand, right?
Yeah.
Because that's delegating is, I'm like, oh, but I'm the only one who knows how to do it.
Uh-huh.
Right. And more importantly, I'm the only one who knows how to do it right.
The right way. Exactly. Uh-huh.
Right. And so it's, it it is how, how do you do this? And of course, the thing for executives is they don't, in many cases, don't want to talk about it for a variety of reasons. People might think they're weak. They might think, oh, I'm going to take my business elsewhere. Oh, maybe I want to go work elsewhere. And all of these things. And so they don't say anything.
Mm.
And the people who are working with them and for them are not stupid people.
Right.
And they start figuring things out, or worse, making it up.
Yeah.
And so, it's all about how are you going to control that narrative? And you don't have to go into a lot of detail. You can just say, I am dealing with some health issues and I need your help.
Yes.
And people will say, what can we do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's all about how do we do that? And then, of course, the thing is, if you've done this right, and you come out of this on the other side, well, oh my gosh, you might actually be able to go on vacation.
Right.
And
Yeah.
right, and your
Yeah.
business should be running better because you have learned a lot of these skills.
Yeah.
But it's also about mindfulness, meditation. Now, I am a certified grief coach. I am a certified cancer coach, but I am a certified grief coach
Oh,
because this is a
wow.
grieving process.
Yes.
But I'm also a certified happiness coach, right?
Wow.
Because we have to laugh at this.
Yeah. Yeah.
My scars have scars. My
Yeah.
doctors look at me and go, oh, you're still here? And I don't know if that's good or bad, right?
Right. 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 Right.
But
Right.
yeah, it's about, how are we going to live the rest of our lives? And of course, that is with love.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing.
Yeah.
We can go down that bad rabbit hole, and we're going to. It is
Yes.
natural. It is normal. Give yourself the grace to say, okay,
Yeah.
today is not a good day.
Yeah.
And I listened to a couple of your other programs, and oh my gosh, your guests were phenomenal.
Oh, thank
The young lady who talked about gratitude, right?
Yeah.
We can go down those rabbit holes, but then we choose to
Mhm.
come back out.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's the important thing is, what are we going to do? And a big part of that is, with the support of our communities.
Yes, yes. So let's talk about community.
Okay.
How do you attract them? How do you build
Mhm.
them? I'm hearing more and more. So my Love Revolution beloveds, they know I am off the
Mhm.
charts extroverted. I
Mhm.
know, Deb, you can figure that
Yeah.
out in 5 seconds.
Right.
But
Mhm.
also I think you are too.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so there are people in my personal life who I'm 55 and they're saying things like I have a hard time making friends. And I guess as part of it is the definition of friend.
Mhm.
For me, a friend is somebody I can go hang out with and
Mhm.
have a good time with,
Mhm.
which means I have an unlimited number of friends.
Right.
And
Mhm.
like I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, if I was challenged for the next month that I need to eat lunch and dinner with a different person every day, particularly if I can do it on Zoom, I
Mhm.
can do that.
Right.
And there's
Right.
some people that are like, I
Mhm.
sit at home by myself lonely because I
Mhm.
don't have any friends.
Right.
And so how do you build community? How do you attract community?
Well, as you mentioned, I am an extrovert. I tell people I can talk to a tree. Now the tree sometimes talks back, but
Yes, good
um,
nugget. Yes.
yes, but I knew how important it was for me to build that community. Now, for some people, they want to stay very private. Again, it's their personal decision. I think what surprised me, and talking with other people who've been on this journey, it's not uncommon. The people we lost, right? The friends who could not, would not deal with this for whatever reason,
Ah,
right?
okay.
And
When
people
you
that I've,
said lost, I thought you meant the people that
no,
passed
no,
away.
they
You're talking
wandered
about
away,
you're
right?
talking about people that you thought would
Yeah.
be there
Yeah.
that
Oh,
just
and
were
there were
unable to
obviously
be there.
those. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about getting older, right?
Okay.
But yeah, they couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
And of course, there was no way that I could force them to. And so I basically thought, I really thought, guess that friendship's done. But or it's different, which they all evolve, right? The people who stepped up that I was not expecting to step up have been absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
People who I didn't even know knew I existed
Mhm.
have been absolutely phenomenal. And some of that is just they comment on my Facebook posts.
Uh-huh.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's that support. Or it's the people who sat by my bed in the hospital. It's the people who helped do the really icky things.
Yeah.
The people who took me for walks. I
Yeah.
had to go for walks because I was in the hospital 7 weeks. And so when I got out, the doctor said, you need fresh air and sunshine. Well, I was weeble wobbly and my husband had gone back to work. And so I posted on Facebook, I need somebody to come once a day, 15, 20 minutes to walk me.
Oh.
Leash provided. Right. And one of the things about that gave somebody a way to help, because
Yeah.
we always say, oh, Dr. Roz, just tell me if there's anything you need.
Yeah.
Well, my little addled brain can't grasp that.
Yeah.
But it's also on me to say, here is what I need.
Yes.
Then you can decide
Yes.
yay or nay.
Yes.
And so, the integral part of a community is communication, right?
Oh, yeah. Let's dig into that, Deb.
Right,
Yeah. Talk
right.
about that.
hmm Yeah, I tell people one of the worst four-letter words is fine. How
Mhm.
are you doing today? Fine. Now, okay, it's okay to tell the Starbucks barista that because
Mhm.
she doesn't care.
Mhm.
But if your friend, your coworker, your doctor asks, "How are you doing?" You should never say fine.
Mhm.
And because fine can be, I'm about to keel over dead, or oh, I'm running a marathon when I leave here.
Yeah.
And so you need to communicate that. But again, you have to communicate with your community and
Mm.
tell them, here's what's going on. Here's what I need. I mentioned I've hit the 10-year mark. For anyone who knows much about cancer, 5 years is one of those big marks, right? No recurrence in 5 years is really big. 10 years is really, really big.
Mhm.
Now, stage 4 does not go away. Um, I will probably get hit by a bus or do something really stupid like wander in front of a train, right?
Hopefully
You
not somebody because somebody's walking you into a train.
yeah, this is yeah, well, I don't know, maybe yeah, but yeah, it's it is about, how are you going to communicate what you need with your people.
Mhm.
Um and and they, they, like I said, people want to help. They really want to help. They just don't know how.
Mhm.
They don't, in many cases, want to ask because they don't want to make you feel bad,
Yeah.
right? It is that's where it's kind of the grieving process, right?
Mm.
Someone loses a spouse, a child. We don't say anything because we don't want them to feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, to me, that's like acting like they didn't exist.
Yeah.
It is perfectly fine to say, I'm so sorry this happened.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't have to say anything more than that. Then they can decide if they want more or if they just want to let it go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, your community is what helps you through it, whether they're your Facebook friends or, the people who are coming to walk you, and all of these various things, and being honest. I posted, well, let's see, it was last week when I was at my oncologist. And so I do have a private Facebook group
Mm.
for people who just want to know about what's going on. And so I posted, hey, we've hit the 10-year mark. Able to drop one of the medications that I've been on for 10 years. I mean, all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
And, but I also post when things aren't going good because you get that support from them. And I think probably one of the biggest things people say again is we don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And I told people Hallmark has cards.
Yeah.
And I have a big box of all the cards that were sent to me 10 years ago. I
Yeah.
moved them the other day and thought, I wonder if I should do something with these.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are so many ways that you can be part of somebody's community
Mhm.
at the level you're comfortable with, right? If you're not the person to go sit in the hospital room, then don't be the person to go sit in the hospital room.
Right.
Um, you know,
Deb, every time you say that, and we have a dear friend who was recently in the hospital,
mm-hmm,
and his daughter texted and
mm-hmm,
said, this is his room,
mm-hmm,
blah blah
mm-hmm,
blah for visiting. And for me, I've never been in the hospital. I'm
mm-hmm.
very blessed in that regard. And my
Hey.
sister has never been in the hospital the
Mm-hmm,
whole time we've been married either. However, I'm thinking the last thing I want if I'm in the hospital is a
right.
visitor. The
Mm-hmm,
last thing. Like
mm-hmm,
I'm thinking like I need to communicate
mm-hmm,
that to
mm-hmm,
my community if and when
mm-hmm,
that because I'm
mm-hmm,
going to be like, you come see me when I get home.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I don't want, I mean,
Yeah.
but I might change
Mhm,
my mind once I'm
mhm.
there, you know?
Right.
And
Hmm.
so this you're the first person I've heard tie communication to
Hmm.
community.
Hmm.
And I just think that that's
Hmm.
beautiful. I literally could talk to you for the next 5 hours.
I know. I
Originally
know.
said three, but now I say five. And so I know that the audience is probably like, okay, let's wind this down. So
Yes. Mhm.
leave us with your either something your certified happiness coach in you wants to leave, or your certified grief coach
Mhm.
wants to leave.
Tell people that you love them.
Um,
And I'm not saying that just because of being on the podcast. It really is. So now it has to be honest, right? Not, hey dude, love you. It's got to be, Dr. Roz, I love you, this has been fantastic.
yeah,
And because we don't hear that enough.
yeah,
And tell them you're grateful, tell them thank you,
yeah,
all of these various things. But don't expect that they, and I'm putting this in my air quotes for anybody listening, that they know. Uh-uh.
yeah,
Tell them. Might startle them, if you say, hey, I love you, but yeah, it is something that we need. And I tell my doctor, the doctors. Now I have a lot of doctors, but there are several that I make sure that I always tell them I love them.
yeah.
And they say it back. And so yeah, tell people you love them,
Love that.
be honest with them, and just always be communicating.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Love Revolution, beloveds. Y'all know that I love you. And Deb, I love you. I am so grateful for you. I adore you. I appreciate you. I am so, so, so honored that Noemi connected
Mm.
us and that you are here today and to share just a tiny little portion of your message. Y'all can go to her website, tryingnottodie.live. And of course, if you need marketing and other PR stuff, then she's a great connect for that as well. And until next time, love Revolution, beloveds. I appreciate y'all and I love y'all. Thank you.